High above the emerald valleys of Costa Rica, there's a place where clouds don't just float, they live, a forest that breathes secrets, where every leaf hides a heartbeat, and every drop of mist carries the whispers of another world. This isn't just any rainforest, it's the cloud forest, a world suspended between earth and sky, a realm where sunlight dances with fog, and creatures unseen by human eyes make their home among the drifting clouds. Imagine walking through a jungle that never sleeps, where orchids drink from the air, frogs sing in invisible choruses, and the walls of moss seem alive, guarding mysteries that have never been told. Tonight, we'll step inside the sky jungle, the mystical heart of Costa Rica, where every breath feels like touching the beginning of time itself. But before we uncover the hidden wonders behind this wall of mist, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment below, because what you're about to see is not just nature, it's magic that breathes. Now, let's break through the veil of clouds and discover what truly lies within the cloud forest is a living masterpiece of nature, a place so alive it almost feels sentient. Here, the air is not just damp, it is sacred, infused with the breath of ancient trees that rise like green cathedrals into a never-ending mist. The forest doesn't wait for rain to fall from the sky, it creates its own. High in the mountains of Costa Rica, something extraordinary happens every single day. Clouds are born among the trees themselves. Imagine this sunlight warms the forest floor, water evaporates through millions of leaves, and as that moisture rises, it meets the cool mountain air. The mist thickens, swirling around moss-covered trunks, wrapping everything in a living fog that seems to think, to move, to feel. Every leaf, every branch, every fern in this jungle is part of a perfect, breathing machine. The trees here are so tall and so dense that they reach into the passing clouds, capturing tiny droplets of water from the air. These droplets collect on leaves and trickle down the bark like silver veins, nourishing the earth below. The forest becomes its own rainmaker, a self-sustaining world, a water cycle born entirely from life itself. It's as if the jungle decided long ago that it would never depend on the sky again. It would become the sky, and within this mist, time behaves differently. The sounds are softer, as if the forest muffles its own heartbeat. You can hear the slow drip of water falling from leaf to leaf, a symphony of droplets echoing through green tunnels. Sunlight doesn't pierce through like a beam. Instead, it glows, diffused and dreamy, bathing the jungle in a light that feels otherworldly. It's easy to lose sense of direction here because every corner looks like the beginning of a fairy tale, a wall of moss, a curtain of vines, and somewhere deep within, the song of a bird you'll never see but will never forget. The animals that call this mist home are as strange as the environment itself. Tiny frogs the size of your thumbnail cling to dripping branches. Hummingbirds, their wings invisible in motion, dart through the fog, sipping from flowers that bloom only where the moisture is thickest. Orchids, hundreds of species of them, dangle like jewels, each drop of mist reflecting on their petals. And beneath your feet, life continues in silence. Insects, worms, and microscopic creatures transforming fallen leaves into the rich soil that feeds this endless green world. What makes this place so mysterious is how perfectly balanced it is. Every part of the cloud forest relies on another. If one tree were to fall, dozens of smaller lives would be affected. If the mist were to vanish for even a few days, the rhythm of life would stumble, yet somehow for millions of years, this cycle has remained unbroken. The forest continues to breathe, to create, to live far above the chaos of human civilization. Scientists have studied this phenomenon for decades, yet it still feels like magic. The process, called horizontal precipitation, allows the forest to catch water directly from the air. It's nature's version of a miracle, invisible rain that keeps the jungle alive even during dry seasons. Without it, countless species would fade away. This mist isn't just weather, it's the lifeblood of the ecosystem. The cloud forest literally drinks the sky. Stand in the middle of this world and you can feel it. The air clings to your skin, the ground pulses under your feet, and there's a quiet hum, a vibration that feels ancient, eternal. You realize that you're not just visiting nature, you're standing inside its beating heart, and somewhere high above where the trees pierce the clouds, droplets are already forming again, tiny worlds in themselves, ready to fall, ready to feed, ready to keep this enchanted jungle alive for another 1,000 years. Suspended high above the misty treetops, the world begins to change. The earth disappears beneath your feet, and the forest transforms into an ocean of clouds. This is where humanity meets the edge of the wild, the canopy bridges of Costa Rica's cloud forest. These hanging walkways sway gently with the breath of the wind, stretched between towering trees that seem to pierce the heavens. Each step feels like stepping into another dimension, a hidden sky realm that few have ever truly seen. You are not walking on the jungle anymore, you are walking through its soul. From the moment you step onto the bridge, The world below fades into a watercolor of green shadows and drifting fog. The mist thickens like smoke, wrapping itself around the railings, swallowing the sound of your own heartbeat. The air is alive, cool, heavy, and humming with unseen life. Somewhere nearby, a howler monkey roars, its deep echo vibrating through the air like distant thunder. The wind carries the faint cry of a toucan, the rustle of leaves, the whisper of wings slicing through vapor. Every sound feels magnified up here, where the forest canopy forms a living ceiling that touches the clouds. Beneath you lies the endless labyrinth of the jungle, thousands of trees competing for light, their crowns interlocking like puzzle pieces forming a dense green carpet. But from above, the view is something else entirely. It's a painting of motion and silence. Hummingbirds dart between floating orchids suspended from unseen branches. Butterflies with transparent wings drift past your face, gliding effortlessly through the fog. The bridge sways slightly, not out of danger, but as if it's breathing with the forest, alive, conscious, ancient. This is the level where magic hides, the upper canopy, the forest's rooftop. Few people ever get to see it, because it exists far above the ground in a place where only the bravest climbers or the most patient scientists dare to go. Up here, the ecosystem is entirely different. Mosses, bromeliads, ferns, and orchids cling to every available surface, soaking up the mist that rolls in from the Pacific Ocean. These plants live off the clouds themselves, drawing water straight from the air. They don't need soil, they don't even need rain. It's a world built on vapor, delicate, balanced, and endlessly alive. Walking across these bridges feels like moving through time. The forest here is a living relic, millions of years in the making. Each vine, each drop of condensation, each fluttering bird has been part of an unbroken rhythm since before humans walked the earth. You can almost feel it, the weight of ages pressing through the air, the pulse of ancient life echoing between the trees. The clouds drift around you, sometimes so thick that you can't see more than a few steps ahead. It's as if the jungle is deliberately hiding its secrets, revealing only glimpses of its magic to those who dare to step into its kingdom of mist. And then, without warning, the fog thins. The sun breaks through in slanted golden beams that paint the forest in liquid light. You see the bridge stretching ahead, glowing like a ribbon of silver. The entire canopy sparkles. Every leaf glistens with droplets. Every flower catches the sun like crystal. For a moment, the entire forest seems to hold its breath. It's not just beauty. It's something sacred, something that reminds you that the world is much older, wiser, and more mysterious than we ever imagined. Scientists say these canopy bridges have changed the way we understand life itself. They've revealed species that exist nowhere else, insects that live their entire lives without ever touching the ground, plants that bloom only in the clouds, birds that build invisible nests among the mist. But beyond science, there's a feeling here that words can't contain, the humbling awareness that you are standing in a place where the earth meets the sky, where the living world stretches upward to shake hands with the heavens. And as you take that final step across the bridge, looking down into the green abyss below, you realize that this place isn't just a forest. It's a cathedral of nature, vast, silent, and sacred. The bridges are not paths for people. They are threads connecting two worlds, the grounded and the divine. And as the mist curls back around the trees, swallowing the bridge once more, you understand that the cloud forest doesn't just exist in Costa Rica. It exists in a place beyond reach where the earth still dreams among the clouds. Deep within the silent heart of Costa Rica's cloud forest lies a mystery that time has not been able to erase. Hidden beneath the shroud of mist and moss is the story of a creature so rare, so extraordinary that it shimmered like living gold in the fog and then vanished without a trace. The forest still remembers it, even if the world has almost forgotten. Its name was whispered in awe and sorrow, the golden toad once. During the soft rains of April, the forest floor would awaken to a strange kind of magic. The air was thick with moisture, and the ground pulsed with life. Out from the damp burrows beneath roots and fallen leaves emerged tiny beings that seemed too bright to belong to the earth. Their skin glowed like molten metal, brilliant orange gold, shining even in the dim light of the clouded jungle. They were barely the size of your thumb. Yet their presence was impossible to ignore. In the shadowy green world of Monteverde, they were living jewels, surreal, dazzling, and fragile beyond imagination. The golden toads would gather in shimmering clusters around temporary pools formed by the seasonal rains. It was a spectacle of life at its most delicate, males glowing in golden hues, females darker and marbled like wet stone. They came here to mate, to continue a cycle that had gone on for centuries, unseen by the rest of the world. The forest grew quiet during this time, as though it too was holding its breath, honoring a ritual older than memory. But then something changed. It began subtly, a shift in the rain, a soft imbalance in the rhythm of the clouds. The pools began to dry sooner, the fog lingered longer, and the once predictable heartbeat of the jungle faltered. The last recorded sighting of the golden toad was in 1989. One lone male, waiting beside a shrinking puddle of water, his skin gleaming faintly against the fading light. He waited for a mate that never came, surrounded by silence, surrounded by absence. And then nothing. He vanished as if the mist itself had swallowed him whole. Scientists searched for years, combing through the dense mossy floor, lifting rocks, scanning puddles, peering into burrows. But there were no more toads. The golden toad had disappeared, leaving behind an echo that still haunts biologists and explorers to this day. Some say it was climate change, a subtle warming of the air that disrupted the delicate moisture balance this amphibian depended on. Others believe a deadly fungal disease, chytridiomycosis, swept silently through the forest, killing countless amphibians before anyone even knew what was happening. Yet others whisper that perhaps the forest itself chose to reclaim them, taking back what the world was not ready to appreciate. Even now, when the rains return and the forest is heavy with mist, those who walk the paths of Monteverde sometimes feel as if they're being watched not by predators but by memories. The toad's story has become more than a tale of extinction. It is a warning, a symbol, and a ghost of beauty that once gleamed like sunlight caught in dew. It reminds us how fragile the balance of this world truly is. Here, in a place where life thrives above the clouds, even the smallest creature can be the key to an entire ecosystem's harmony. The loss of the golden toad changed the way the world looks at conservation. It was the first widely recognized extinction linked directly to climate change. It forced scientists to listen more closely to the whispers of the natural world, to the subtle shifts in temperature, to the missing calls of frogs that once sang the forest to sleep. The toad's silence became a message even the most vibrant life can vanish overnight if we ignore the signs written in the fog. Today, when explorers trek through the cloud forest, they often pause at the very spot where the last toad was seen. The air feels colder there, the mist thicker. The forest hums quietly as if in remembrance. And though the toad is gone, its spirit lingers in the dampness of the moss, in the glimmer of dew on the leaves, in the breath of the forest itself. The jungle keeps its secrets, but some stories, no matter how softly told, never fade. Some say that when the morning mist is heavy enough, a glint of gold still flickers deep in the undergrowth, a trick of the light perhaps, or something more. The cloud forest doesn't confirm or deny, it simply breathes ancient and eternal, carrying the memory of a creature that once turned the fog to fire and then slipped silently back into legend. There are walls in this world that do not stand still, walls that breathe, grow, and whisper. Deep within the Costa Rican cloud forest, such a wall exists, a living monument made not of stone or steel but of time itself. Step close enough and you'll feel it, cool, damp, pulsing faintly like the heartbeat of the earth. It stretches as far as the mist allows your eyes to see, a vertical ocean of green that swallows light, sound, and imagination. This is not an ordinary wall. It is a creation of life upon life, a masterpiece that has been building itself layer by layer for millions of years. Every inch of this wall tells a story. A single tree trunk may carry hundreds of species, each one clinging to another in a silent, perfect cooperation. Moss forms the foundation, soft, velvety carpets that trap moisture and cradle the roots of the plants that come after. Upon that moss, ferns take hold, their delicate fronds unfurling like ancient scrolls. Then come the orchids, their petals glowing with impossible colors, blooming in midair as if floating on dreams. Bromeliads grow like cups, catching the mist and turning it into tiny lakes for frogs and insects. Vines twist upward through it all, binding the forest together like the threads of an invisible web. From a distance, the wall appears motionless, a serene green tapestry draped across the mountain. But when you stand close, you realize it's alive with motion, a slow, secret dance of life. Ants move in precise lines along the stems. Beetles crawl through droplets the size of their bodies. Tiny frogs, translucent as glass, hide beneath the folds of leaves. The air hums softly with the sound of unseen wings. You can hear the forest breathing, whispering through the leaves, whispering through time. Every drop of mist that touches this wall feeds it. The trees, acting like giant sponges, pull in the fog, drawing life from the air itself. The moss captures the moisture and releases it slowly, ensuring that no part of this vertical kingdom ever truly dries. It is a perfect engine, self-sustaining, delicate, eternal. Even when the sky clears and the sun breaks through, the wall holds its cool, moist heart. The balance between life and death here is so precise, so fragile, that even a single fallen branch becomes a cradle for new life within hours. Scientists call this vertical layering, an ecosystem stacked from the ground to the heavens, but no word captures its true wonder. It is a living library of evolution, species surviving not by competing, but by cooperating, by finding their own niche within the vast cathedral of green. Every crack, every curl of bark, every bead of dew is home to something small, something vital. Remove one layer and the entire wall would begin to crumble, yet it doesn't. It endures, it thrives. The people who've walked this forest say the wall has a presence, an ancient awareness. When the mist thickens, it almost feels as though it's watching you. The moss shifts, the vines tremble, and a slow drip echoes through the air like a ticking clock. It reminds you how long this wall has stood, how many centuries it has witnessed. Before human footsteps ever touched this mountain, before any road carved its way toward the clouds, this living wall was already here, building itself from nothing but patience and rain. At night, the wall changes again. Bioluminescent fungi glow faintly along the bark, lighting the forest like a green galaxy. Fireflies drift between the vines like wandering stars. The mist becomes thicker, almost solid, and the world feels smaller, quieter, as though the forest has folded you into its dream. It's easy to forget where you are, easy to believe that you've stepped into another world, one that grows and thinks and remembers. Somewhere in that darkness, water trickles from leaf to leaf, an endless chain of nourishment that never stops. And you realize the truth: this wall is not just made of plants. It's made of everything that has ever lived here: roots, spores, memories, and ghosts of rain. It is a monument to survival, to persistence, to the power of life that refuses to give in. The jungle doesn't build with bricks or mortar. It builds with time. And in the heart of the cloud forest, that time stands all around you, soft, green, and eternal, whispering through the mist, telling you that the earth is very much alive. When dawn breaks in the cloud forest, it doesn't come with the blaze of sunlight or the cry of roosters. It comes quietly, like a dream returning to consciousness. The mist thickens first, rolling gently through the branches like a slow tide. Then, one by one, tiny flashes of color emerge from the gray: emerald, sapphire, ruby, and gold. The air hums almost imperceptibly at first, and then with a rhythm so rapid that it feels like the heartbeat of the forest itself. These are the dancers of the mist, creatures so delicate, so impossibly beautiful. They seem sculpted from light and motion, hummingbirds and butterflies performing their daily ballad among the clouds. The hummingbird appears before you can even focus your eyes. It's not flying, it's hovering, suspended in the air as if the laws of gravity no longer apply. Its wings move so fast they disappear into a blur, a whispering vibration that fills the silence between the trees. In this forest, dozens of species live in perfect synchrony with the rhythm of the fog. Some shimmer with iridescent greens and blues that glint like liquid metal. Others wear velvet reds and purples that pulse in the filtered light. Each one is a brushstroke on the living canvas of the canopy. They feed from flowers that bloom nowhere else on Earth. The air plants and orchids here depend entirely on the mist and on these tiny birds for survival. Each blossom offers a droplet of nectar, and in return, the hummingbird carries the pollen, weaving unseen connections between life forms scattered across the vast jungle. You can almost see the web they create, invisible lines of exchange, linking tree to tree, petal to petal, cloud to earth. Without these mist dancers, the cloud forest would lose its rhythm, its pulse, its very ability to sustain itself. And then, as if summoned by the same symphony, the butterflies, some are transparent, their wings like windows outlined only by a shimmer of silver. These are the glass-winged butterflies, the ghosts of the jungle. They drift between the shafts of filtered light, silent and slow, their fragile wings barely stirring the air. Others are bold and bright, flashing orange or blue as they flutter past, vanishing into the fog as if swallowed by it. Together, they turn the forest into a moving mosaic, a dance that's been happening for millions of years, unseen by most eyes, unbroken by time. Every movement in this world feels intentional. The hummingbird's sudden dart forward, the butterfly's lazy drift, the trembling of leaves under the faintest wing beat. It all fits into the rhythm of a living system that knows no stillness. And yet, in the midst of all this motion, there's an overwhelming sense of peace. The mist softens the light, blurs the edges of everything, and turns the forest into something out of a forgotten dream. The sound of beating wings becomes the language of the air, rapid, delicate, constant. Scientists have tried to study the hummingbird's flight, its impossible speed and precision. They say its heart can beat more than 1,000 times per minute. Its metabolism burns hotter than that of any other bird, demanding it feed every 10 minutes just to stay alive. But numbers and data can't explain what it feels like to stand here and watch one hover inches from your face, eyes bright as dew, wings invisible but roaring like wind. You don't feel like you're looking at an animal. You feel like you're witnessing a miracle designed by nature herself. And in the quiet spaces between their movements, you sense something else, a story. These mist dancers have evolved perfectly for this world. Their small bodies are built to thrive in thin air, their colors to shimmer in filtered light, their flight to navigate the maze of vines and leaves where no other creature dares to go. They are not visitors to the cloud forest. They are the cloud forest, as much a part of it as the orchids and the drifting vapor that sustains them. As the morning unfolds, the mist begins to lift and sunlight glints through in fractured beams. The hummingbirds rise higher, their tiny bodies flashing like sparks. The butterflies follow, gliding into the open light before disappearing into the vastness of the green. The forest exhales, and the moment fades, but not completely, because even when the clouds close in again, their dance continues, unseen but eternal. To watch them is to glimpse the living pulse of creation, fragile, fleeting, and utterly timeless. In their wings lies the spirit of the jungle itself, delicate but determined, weightless but powerful, vanishing yet eternal. They do not just live in the mist, they become it. The breath, the motion, And the magic that makes the cloud forest more than just a place, it makes it alive. High above the emerald valleys where the air grows thin and the mist clings like a veil, rise the sentinels of the cloud forest, the ancient giants that have watched over this world for millennia. Their roots twist deep into the mountain's bones, and their crowns vanish into the rolling fog. They are the hidden guardians of Costa Rica's sky jungle, colossal trees that hold the forest together like living pillars of time. Their presence is not loud, not boastful. It is solemn, powerful, eternal. You can stand beneath them for hours and still not see their tops. The world feels smaller here, not because of fear, but because of awe. Each of these giants tells a story written in rings of wood, moss, and silence. Their trunks are so wide that 5 people linking hands can barely encircle them. Vines as thick as a man's arm spiral upward, climbing endlessly toward the light. The roots, enormous and coiled like sleeping serpents, weave across the forest floor, gripping the earth with an unyielding strength. These roots do not merely feed the trees, they anchor the entire ecosystem. They hold the soil in place, channel water through hidden veins, and provide shelter for the countless creatures that live in the damp darkness below. Everywhere you look, life depends on these ancient titans. Birds nest in hollows high above the clouds, where no predator can reach. Monkeys leap from branch to branch, their calls echoing through the fog. Orchids cling to the bark like delicate jewels, drawing nourishment from the mist. Even when you think you're looking at one tree, you're not. You're looking at a city of life layered upon life, 1,000 stories unfolding in silence. In the heart of this vertical world stands one of the most remarkable of them all, the strangler fig. It begins humbly as a seed dropped by a bird onto the branch of another tree. From there, it sends down roots, long searching tendrils that snake through the air reaching for the ground. Once they touch the soil, they begin their slow, relentless climb back, upward. Over decades, sometimes centuries, those roots thicken, merge, and form a living lattice that wraps around its host. Eventually, the fig's embrace becomes so strong that the original tree withers inside, leaving behind a hollow cathedral of living wood. It's a strange kind of beauty, a cycle where life takes from life and yet creates something entirely new. Within these natural cathedrals, the forest breathes differently. The air feels still sacred. You can hear drops of water echo through the hollow trunk like whispers in an ancient chapel. Light filters through tiny cracks in the wood, painting patterns of gold and green on the damp floor. The scent is heavy, a mix of earth, rain, and the deep, woody perfume of time itself. It's not hard to imagine that the spirits of the forest dwell here, wrapped in the roots and the fog, watching quietly as the world above changes and forgets. Scientists have tried to measure the age of these giants, but even their instruments fall short of capturing the truth. Some are older than the civilizations that discovered them, silent witnesses to the rise and fall of everything human. When storms sweep across the mountain, these trees do not resist, they sway. Their branches bend with the wind, their roots absorb the shock, and when the tempest passes, they still stand unbroken, unshaken, ancient. At night, when the mist thickens and the forest turns silver beneath the moon, these towering figures seem to breathe. The fog drifts around them like smoke, and their shadows stretch endlessly across the ground. If you listen closely, you might hear it, a low, resonant hum, the sound of the forest pulse echoing through their trunks. It is not imagination, it is the vibration of life traveling through roots and soil, connecting everything from the smallest insect to the highest leaf. And yet, for all their strength, even these giants are not invincible. As the climate warms and the mist retreats higher into the sky, they face a challenge greater than any storm. Their roots thirst for water that no longer comes as often, their moss dries under a sun that burns hotter than before. But still, they endure, because endurance is what they are made of. For thousands of years, they've held the mountain together, feeding, protecting, creating, and even if someday they fall, the seeds they scatter will rise again, reaching upward through the clouds to continue their story. So when you walk through the cloud forest and look up into that shifting gray canopy, remember this: you are standing in the shadow of immortals. These trees are not just part of the earth. They are the earth sculpted by mist, carved by time, guarded by silence. Beneath their branches, you can feel it, the heartbeat of the world, slow, steady, endless. And as you leave this realm of giants, the fog curls back behind you like closing curtains. The forest returns to its quiet rhythm, and the mountains exhale. Somewhere deep within, the roots still hum, the leaves still whisper, and the earth keeps dreaming, a timeless dream written in green, mist, and memory. Because the cloud forest never dies, it only breathes.